Hi everyone, welcome back to the Neurospicy YouTube channel. My name is Jess and today we're actually going to be exploring a topic that's near and dear to my heart, mental health, and how knitting can have an effect on your mental well-being for the good. Let's dive in. So how exactly can knitting help and affect your mental health in a positive way? Let me tell you some of the reasons that I have written down. Number one is it is a stress reliever. Engaging in knitting can actually help lower stress levels by triggering the relaxation response in your body. The repetitive motion of the needles and the soft, comforting touch of the yarn can create a calming effect, allowing your mind to unwind. Number two, the mindfulness and meditation. Knitting requires focus and attention to detail, which if you are somebody with ADHD, you know this, that you do not have that as well, or like when you're in a mentally bad spot as well, also can help trigger that. As you immerse yourself in like a rhythm of knitting, your mind can actually enter a meditative state, which gives you the opportunity to be present in with whatever you're doing. So say you're watching a TV show, helps you be present for that. Or if you're trying to sit and talk, which I have tons of experience with, like when we're in group settings, I can sit and knit and I'm more engaged in the conversation because I'm doing something with my hands and I'm not worried about not moving around or anything like that. Number three, last but not least, it's an emotional outlet. Knitting can serve as a creative outlet for all your emotions, which I make sure to talk about all the time whenever I can, especially on my Instagram. And now here. When words fail to express how you feel, picking up your knitting needles and pouring your emotions into your cup can be such a emotional reprieve. There's very little times where I'm feeling like emotionally drained enough to not knit, but most of the time if I'm upset, knitting. Angry, knitting. It just helps me think over my thoughts and come out of it with a better attitude and able to manage the situation better. But it's not just about the process, it's about the sense of accomplishment too. Witnessing your progress and watching the project grow stitch by stitch instills a sense of achievement and boosts that like dopamine response in your brain, which if you are neurodivergent, you have a lower dopamine level, and it helps actually raise that dopamine level, which you don't typically get on a daily basis, or you're like dopamine hunting. If you know, it's not the most fun thing in the world, especially if you're having a down day. So just having a hobby like knitting actually helps that dopamine response in your brain. So highly encourage you to try, but I'm not going to leave you without a few tips on how you can get started if you are a newer knitter. One, you can just get the right supplies. All you need are a set of needles and yarn. That's it. 2 things in the pattern. But we're not gonna go there. We'll go there a different day about when we talk about fidgets. For now, what we're gonna focus on is starting. So, 2 supplies, yarn, needle. Get the needle size that you need for the yarn you pick. If you are a newer knitter, if you look at the label, usually somewhere on the label, whether it's store-bought, indie dyed, you can find it on the recommended size needles on the yarn itself. It'll tell you, and that way you match the yarn with the needles and you're not trying to figure that out. Easy, simple way. If you need more of an explanation, Google is a wonderful research tool. And also, it'll help you learn the fundamentals too. If you just Google and YouTube it, half the time when they're explaining to you how to start knitting, they will talk to you about needle sizes, yarns, there's different yarn weights. I recommend for newer knitters to start with like a DK weight yarn. It's a little bit thicker and easier to maneuver. And the third way to get started is to just set aside time for yourself to start knitting. Like, that's all you need is, I guess, 3 things: yarn, needles, time, and then the internet. But everyone's got access to the internet nowadays, so I think you're pretty much set with that one. And just look up YouTube, how to start knitting. You'll need to learn the first 2 basic stitches, which everything is based off of, a knit and a purl. Once you get that down, you can start doing projects and just kind of go with the flow. Don't be afraid to mess up. There's plenty of projects I have like little itty bitty errors on, and the only one who notices it is me. Nobody else. Everyone else is just impressed with the project I made. And I've made a ton at this point, and I never thought I'd be able to stick to a hobby. So just be patient with yourself. Just remember, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and there's gonna be bumps and hills on the way. So that is all for today's video. I hope you start knitting if you haven't. I hope this was a little helpful about how knitting actually does help your mental health, especially if you're neurodivergent and have ADHD. I can't speak for many other people, but I have done some research online where I do believe that it's very important to find a creative hobby for anybody who has, actually just for anybody, because your mental health is probably one of the most important things that you can take care of. You get a checkup for your body all the time. You should do a checkup for your brain and your mental health, because that's just as important as your physical well-being. So that is all for today. I hope you have a fun time learning how to knitting your projects. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. I will answer them to the best of my ability and point you in the right direction. Remember, your mental health is important, and so are you. So find activities that nourish your soul. Alright, thanks for watching, and happy knitting!